baby, countdown's begun. Truth on the mic and I'm loading my gun. You stuck in the past, we rising above. This ain't blind faith, this is tough love. I used to be deep in the cult of the flat, arguing nonsense in my tinfoil hat. But now I'm awake, no longer blind. I looked at the stars and I opened my mind. Reality's real and it don't give a fuck about your echo chamber or your YouTube luck. The globe predicts, flat fails every test. Your model's a mess and mine is the best. Where's the South Pole, baby? Draw it on your map. When you can't, will you admit that it's a trap? This ain't some truth quest, it's just not. The globe accounts for observations that flat cannot. This is the WWF, where we chant we were flat, where we had a faulty belief, and we are so happy that we shed that belief. We were able to finally drop it. Now we on a mission, yeah, now we trying to stop it. It's okay to be wrong, it's sexy to grow. Stand up for truth, let that old shit go. This ain't about pride, this is about facts. I left the cult and I'm never going back. North and south, who sees the sun going bright? Opposite flow, both seeing the light. Can your flat map show that dance? Nope, so you lie, scream, you spiral and you cope. But hope ain't science and faith ain't proof. I deal in data, I live for truth. Your circle map's a trap, your logic snaps. You can't explain jack, all you do is lie and yap. Where's the South Pole, baby? Draw it on your map. When you can't, you should ask yourself, why's that? Now's the time to review those faulty beliefs. Time to say no more to those flat earth priests. They grifting and lying straight to your face. Worse than that, they lie to the whole human race. The globe accounts for all that we see. Flat earth's just fantasy on LSD. It's okay to be wrong, that's how we learn. But clinging to lies, that bridge should burn. I'm loyal to logic, married to proof. Took the red pill, now I'm high on truth. Truth ain't always what we want it to be, but it's always what we need it to be. Grow up, glow up, show up, real. Flat earth's fake, that's the deal. I see y'all grifters still running the con. 10 years deep and still dead wrong. You ain't truthers, you're anti-truth. You're lost in a loop, afraid of the proof. But me, I'm proud I flipped the script. Took that cult and I let it rip. Now I walk tall, globe in my hand. I left the flat, joined the grown-ass land. Where's the South Pole, baby? Draw it on your map. When you can't, you should ask yourself, why's that? Now's the time to review those faulty beliefs. Time to say no more to those flat earth priests. It's okay to admit you were led astray, but it's sexy as hell when you walk away. This mic is for the brave, not the cult, not the con. I spit for the truth, now the countdown's gone. The WWF is almost here. 1, 2, 3, ring the bell, no fear. The WWF is right on time. Time to grow up, leave the flat behind. Leave the flat behind.
Now the countdown's gone. The WWF is almost here. 1, 2, 3, ring the bell, no fear. The WWF is right on time. Now the countdown's gone. The WWF is almost here. 1, 2, 3, ring the bell, no fear.
Dim the lights, it's time to ring that bell. Got some people with a story to
tell. We fell for a theory, yeah, we all fell flat. But like WWF champions, we fighting back. We were flat, but not anymore. We were flat, somehow we found it. We were flat, yeah, you're behind us. We were flat, now we leaving it behind us. Used to say no curve, now we curving that cap. Dodge that echo chamber, now we back on the map. The globe, impossible, yeah, we used to say it. Now we know the truth, we took the evidence and waited. We were flat, yeah, we said it, we owned it. Now we are the ones who are trying to expose it. You should come listen in and learn from our mistake. And how we now realize that the flat earth was fake. We were flat, but not anymore. We were flat, somehow we found the door. We were flat, yeah, it used to bind us. We were flat, now we leaving it behind us.
All right, you guys ready? Lealan, Corbin joining me today in the Unplugged Arena. We're sold out, standing room only. I think Lealan and I both were a little too high for the last 10 years. Too many gravity bombs.
The South isn't a lie, homie, it's correct. We woke the hell up, now we're setting the tone. This is the WWF, you're not alone. Scoring the ball, we're flat no more. It's the WWF, hear the crowd roar. From around the globe, it's crystal clear. Flat is false, so welcome to the scare. We were flat, but not anymore. We were flat, somehow we found the door. We were flat, yeah, it used to bind us. We were flat, now we leaving it behind us.
This is awesome. Welcome to the show, everybody. It is time for another episode of the We Were Flat Show, the WWF show. It's episode number 6. It is the April 29th at 6 p.m. or a little later than that. What time do we got? 6:13. Not bad for an intro. All right, let's bring our guest on. Hopefully everybody in the chat as well. Do me a favor, if you could, like the show if you enjoy it. Give it a thumbs up. It actually helps, believe it or not. And if you don't like it, click thumbs down twice because you're really pissed off. Just click it twice and you'll feel good about yourselves. I promise you. Let's see here. Whereas my screen, there we go. Welcome to the show. We've got Lealan, Corbin. What's up, my friend?
What's up, Jaron?
Now, they might know you as 710 Extracts, correct?
Correct.
Okay, good. So yeah, tell everybody a little bit about who you are and your channel and when you got started and maybe how you found Flat Earth.
So the only thing I really ever post on Flat Earth related is my Instagram, which is 710extracts now 710_extracts 2, because my first account was deleted from posting Flat Earth stuff during COVID. If you look back now, I think my last Flat Earth post was probably around 2021 or 2022. Which is about when that all went down. And aside from that, I just been following the gang, really. I kind of hide in the shadows and stay in the comment sections a little bit. I don't really, make memes or videos very often, but I felt like this was probably the best time to kind of come out and, admit I was wrong.
Yeah. Can I show part of your video? I don't know if people have seen that.
Absolutely.
There's a good part of it that I liked that I thought was really well said. So let me find that, though. I think it's around 8 minutes or something. But I'll find that. So you said that you kind of hung around, just saw everything. So did you start having doubts before? I know you came out in your video and said it was basically TFE that did it, but did you have doubts before?
I mean, I had doubts only because there were certain things that I couldn't give a very good explanation for. And of course, all of those things had to do with the South. I always kind of wondered about the, opposite direction star trails in the South and stuff like that. And the whole reflection of the dome thing, like it kind of worked, and I stuck with it because it wasn't enough to make me like be
Right.
say no to flat Earth, but it was enough question where I was just kind of on the fence about it a little bit.
Right. Yeah. It's like not one of those proofs that's going to take you over the edge, so to say. No pun intended.
Right.
No, I mean, I know how it is because there was things that kind of came up the whole way that were just kind of shelve that. Oh, we'll get to that. But it really was the 24-hour sun that I just knew, you're not going to get to that. You're just not going to be able to solve it. And you said it well. And then you also recognized, it seems like you recognized that we have a strange cognitive bias that is actually frightening when you step back and look at it.
Yeah, it's more than frightening now that I look back at it. I used I made a post the other day and I used the word dangerous, and Tony Coriolis posted in there. He's like, I don't think dangerous is the right word, and I'm like, I don't know if there's a better word for it, but for me, raising, we homeschool our children and stuff, like, and just the mindset of being stuck in something so hard that you're not willing to see.
Right.
And taking evidence from,
and really with something
view like that's pretty dangerous. Well,
and something that frighteningly is lacking in evidence, right? I mean, there's, I guess I got kind of upset yesterday. Somebody on Telegram said that they didn't think that we were saying the right thing when we said that the globe Earth is counterintuitive, but I totally think it is, right? The if you're talking about counterintuitive, meaning the intuitive meaning that it's something that doesn't need to be looked at facts, right? It's more feelings. And the Earth just does not feel like it's moving. The Earth does not feel like a globe. So that's pretty obvious. But beyond that, when you start looking at observations, when you start looking at any of those things, the flat Earth starts falling on its face. And then I'm sure you knew this, right? That the South has to be a lie if the Earth is going to be flat, right?
Yeah, I mean, at the time, I didn't really think of it like that, though. Like, I never thought like everything in the South had to be a lie. It was just, there were things in the South that kind of didn't make a whole lot of sense. And like I said before, it's like, there'd be little demonstrations, somebody like moving a light above a dome and be like, yeah, look, the star trails can look like they're going the other direction or whatever.
Right.
The whole narrative of Antarctica being this like sacred place nobody can go to,
right.
It didn't, I've been to the South, but I wasn't a flat earther then. I never paid any attention. I was just enjoying the sun. But it just, I didn't really think of it, I guess, like that. Now that I look back, it's definitely that. But
right. Well, I guess I always knew that, and it seemed like there wasn't a lot of people that lived down there, and there was just never any kind of reports. And then, I had people that were friends of mine, like Ira Landucci, right, that lives in the South. So I thought, oh, well, he would say something if it was way off down there. But to find out that the sun goes the opposite direction for people in the South was like, oh my goodness, that's pretty hard to just ignore.
Right.
Yeah. Amongst the other things, right? I mean, today I was talking to somebody and they're like, well, do you know for sure the South Pole exists? I'm like, I don't know what you want me to tell you. Do I know that New Zealand exists? I mean, I haven't been there, but I was closer to the South Pole than I've ever been to New Zealand. So, I mean, if you're going to start talking about which one to believe in, I mean, I generally think that once you've gone down there and verified some things about the South, then you know that the rest of it is true. It just has to be. So it's kind of the same thing. Do we know that there's a North Pole? I've never been there. How many people have been to the North Pole? Nobody. So, but yet we know
probably a lot less people than have been to the South Pole.
Probably. And we know that the Polaris is right above it. So we know that there has to be land underneath the Polaris star. So we call that the North Pole. So same thing in the South, right? The South, there's a South Celestial Pole. I've seen that. And then I was 600 miles from the South Pole, and that's what's below the South Celestial Pole. So to me, it's kind of gets to the point where if we went down there and saw something didn't jive where we went, the sun didn't match, the sun set, something, any of those things would have opened the door to many other possibilities. But once that door has been shut, I just don't know anymore how people expect, what do they think is going to be uncovered that's going to lead to a flat Earth at this point? It's really just a dead end, in my opinion.
Yeah, it definitely feels that way.
Yeah, and again, I'm open to evidence, right? If anybody has any evidence that sways me in the other direction, I'd love to hear it. But so far, the evidence of a flat Earth is the same thing that we've always heard, and it's mostly just laughing at people. I was looking at, what's her name? I can't remember her name now. Shelly Lewis on Facebook was made a post laughing about the big names that are coming on the show. And it's just, it's like, does this person not realize the reason that we left is that basically people acting like that? Like, it's just embarrassing that that's what they've gone to, is like, oh, let's make fun of the people that are leaving. I mean, how is that not a cult? That's exactly what that is.
Sadly, it all checks out to be a cult.
Yeah, sadly it does. I know. Just tell me a little bit about how you felt when you were in it. Did you have a lot of friends? Did you make friends? I know you said you talked a lot with family and your friends in real life, and I know you said you even lost some, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, Flat Earth started in my family, to be honest. It was my younger brother who worked with me at the time, and he was kind of, he's somebody I respect a lot. We had lots of conspiracy conversations and so forth, and we tended to like see eye to eye about stuff, and he brought up the flat Earth one time, and I was quick to dismiss it, and then he was really sticking with it, and then he showed me a few things and a few channels, and
older brother, younger brother?
Younger brother, by 8 years younger.
Okay. And so he showed you some do you remember any of the channels that he showed you, or what that was like?
I know that some of the first things that I kind of got put in my face was like, obviously Eric Dubé's videos. Mark Sargent was part of that. That crazy guy that puts clay on his face and says you won't live unless you put clay on his face. Matt Powerland.
He said you won't live. Oh wow, I didn't know that. The guy is crazy though.
Yeah, I stayed with that guy until about that point, and I was like, okay, this is getting a little weird.
That guy came to my house, one time to watch an eclipse, and it's funny because he got there, and I ran my pit bull upstairs, and I said, "Hold on, let me get my pit bull." And I put him up in my son's bedroom, and then the next day he was telling people that the whole night I heard FBI up in the upstairs. I heard people. We're like, that was my fucking dog, loser. Like, we walked him upstairs right in front of you. Like, oh boy, whatever. Guy's got a screw loose, I'm sure. Go ahead. I started interrupting.
A few.
Go ahead.
Yeah, those were some of the first ones, and then I got into the Globe Busters, and then found you and Witsit.
And what year was that? Do you remember about, or?
That was probably 2021, somewhere in there.
Gotcha.
Is when I really started getting into it. So it was kind of a period of where I spent about 6 months kind of just diving in and watching a lot of content. And then it took about 6 months before I was like, holy shit, I think the earth is flat. And that's when I kind of became public about it, and I made my first Instagram post about it, and that was a total shit show.
It didn't go as well as you thought.
Well, I mean, yeah, I had my Instagram followers were not all flat earthers. A lot of them were related, like in the cannabis industry, and just friends and stuff. So, and then after I had made a few posts, like it kind of started blowing up, and I was like, oh, I think I got something here, and then you just get wrapped into that bunny hole. Like,
it's so weird.
It was a time period during COVID where, the beginning of COVID, where it was like, at least for me, I was getting massively red pilled.
Were you working at the time? Did you have a job?
Yep. Same job I still have.
Okay.
I was working. I stayed quiet about it with everybody at work.
Smart move.
It's actually interesting. My brother worked at the company at the time, the same one that got me into flat Earth, and then I have another close friend that was working there as well. It was into flat Earth, and so I had two flat Earth people that I could talk to within my job site, and then within half a year, they got fired for talking too much.
Mm.
Basically, like people didn't want to hear about it.
Right.
And that kind of,
It is a weird thing that you have to tell everybody when you find out. That's why I have trouble with the people who say, "Oh, it's you guys want to be special." I'm like, well, the problem with that though is that everybody runs out to tell everybody. To me, it seems like if you're saying somebody wants to be special, they would want to keep that information to themselves. But it does seem like when you find out, first thing you do is go and tell people. At least for me, it was.
Yeah.
At least at the start.
And it's a weird thing because like when you finally decide to flip the switch to saying like, I am a flat earther.
Right.
Like like you've talked about it many times before. I don't want to get repetitive into it, but it's like that moment, like a block goes up in your head, and that's when you're like, the trauma kind of begins because then you have that's when you open yourself up to having friends and family and strangers make comments, and you're just like your shields are up and you're just kind of, but you're convinced at that point. So
yeah, the Earth's flat. It's not that you think it's flat. It's not that you believe it's flat. It's that No,
it is.
Right.
And I would make comments like that all the time. They're like, oh, you think the Earth is flat? And I'm like, no, I know the Earth is flat.
Right. You guys are just sheep.
Yeah.
Not paying attention. Yeah.
And that rhetoric became very like common, and to go back to what I was saying is that it all for me anyways, it got all wrapped up at the same time that I got into a lot of other conspiracies. I was learning about the whole Freemason thing and, just like the Hollywood agendas, all of those different things. I was already, aware of, what I would consider like chemtrails and weather modification and 9/11 and other conspiracies. But like, flat Earth was like a drastic jump to be public about.
Right.
And now it's like you can't even be a part of those quote unquote truther channels without being a flat earther.
No, they'll kick you out. They'll call you names.
Yeah. It's insane. It's like, no. I understand that there's these other things going on in the background, but and I can still say confidently, like NASA has lied about things. Like the governments lie about things. That doesn't all go away.
Right.
But what they didn't lie about was the shape of the Earth because they can't.
Good point. Thank you. Like I got to celebrate that. That's my opinion too.
Understand?
Yeah, it's impossible. And that's why it's scary, right? Because the people that believe it, what it means is that they really have no desire for the real truth, because you can go figure it out and they can't lie to you because they would need everybody to be blind. There's just no way you could have people making observations that match a sphere unless you're on a sphere. It just wouldn't match. It would be all over the place. People would say, hey, why is the sun shouldn't the sun do this? Or shouldn't the sun? And we don't see anything like that. We see everything answered by the sphere. So it is kind of something I wish people would stand back and look at, that, we were just calling it, because basically it is, like I said, counterintuitive. So basically I think the whole thing comes down to, that seems weird that water bends in a sphere shape. And that seems weird that we would be spinning. And that seems weird that the sun would be so big. And that's basically the frustration with people over the globe Earth, at least in my opinion. Whereas if you can just figure out what those things really mean and how they're explained, and then look at the observations tell you where you live. That's the truth. So hey, let me play this real quick. I'm going to show this part of this video that he did. This was his coming out video, I guess you can call it. But this was a pretty good part here. We'll watch this if I can get it up there. There we go. All right, here we go. Watch this.
Once you've made your mind up, you just want everything that you hear to be true. And if it goes against what you're saying, you let it go. Confirmation bias is a bitch. Okay? You've already confirmed what you think you believe, and you ignore everything that anybody says that goes against it.
Now, here's the thing. I
want people to understand.
I wish flat earthers would really listen to this. And I get that if somebody was saying this to me, 6 months ago, would I have even listened? Possibly not. Possibly when you have that bias there, it's almost like your brain's doing itself a favor by blocking any of that information, right? Because any of that information comes in, and then you have to start doubting yourself. Then you have to start learning things again. So your brain's almost like, no, we got this. We're good. Somebody's talking about it being wrong, just, brush them off. But I think you're saying it really well here. We'll continue.
Understand how dangerous that is. Some of us, like myself, are raising children. We're homeschooling. We're doing all these things. We want the best for the future of our children. And I feel terrible that I ever even put the thought of flat earth in my children's head. I want you to look at me closely. This is a dangerous position. I want my children to grow up not me telling them what to think. I want to teach them how to think. And I'm realizing now, especially when it comes to this conversation, I never thought about it. I never thought about it. And so when Flat Earth came around, I was like, wow, yeah, all of these things make sense.
Yeah, it's well said there, though, because you talk about having homeschooling your kids, and that was a big thing for me as well, right? I mean, my son's going to be at that age that we're going to start some of this stuff, but it was hard to realize, like, man, I probably would have taught him that the earth was flat. And so, who knows what that would have done to his future. And now I wonder the people that are out there teaching their children it now and are so sure of it, and are they teaching their children that they're so sure of it? Because that's going to end up coming back to haunt them.
It's scary, man. Like, I'm so glad, I'm glad that all of this happened now. My kids are at the age where at least they understand that I can come to them and with this information and be like, you've heard Daddy watching videos about flat earth conversations. They knew that I thought the world was flat.
So they're how old are they? So they're teens or
9 and 11.
Okay.
And then one on the way.
Congratulations.
It's your fault. We'll get into that at the end of the episode.
It's not my baby. I swear to God, it's not mine. It's not mine. I promise you.
No, it's not. It's definitely not yours.
Okay, good.
But you did play a part. We'll get into that later. But,
all right.
Yeah, it was. I'm grateful that I was at least. I came to understanding this now, to where they're still young enough that I can kind of use it as a lesson with them and be like, I was wrong. Like, I was very convinced of this, and use it almost as like a teaching lesson of, like
Right.
I said, I don't want to tell them what to think. I want to teach them how to think. And now I have something very valuable that I can look back on and be like,
very true.
This is why I thought these things. And this is why I got stuck in this trap. These are the things to look out for so that you guys don't make the same mistakes that I did.
Right.
Because it was traumatic going in, and it's traumatic coming out. And it could have all been completely avoided.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I said somebody should have slapped me 8 years ago, just across the face. Hey, wake up. Maybe I would have snapped out of it. Because the hardest thing is that there's just too much. But like what you said, we can use it as a teaching moment. I'm going to use it as a teaching moment for my children to show, hey, look what happens when you are starting to research for a certain reason, right? You're trying to find this certain thing because you'll find it. And I think what would happen is I would read probably 20 pages, let's say, of some book from 1800 talking about the earth, and all the facts about the globe, I would just read right past them. I wasn't looking for that, right? I was looking for that one line that somehow could have been turned into and it's not like I cognitively did it. I was actually thinking I was doing research. I'm researching, I'm looking for flat earth clues, right? But I would find that one line in a whole book. The whole book's about the globe earth. Like, this one line is definitely talking about flat earth. And you just realize how you can really skew your ability to where if you're actually trying to weigh evidence, then you should see that book as evidence, not as, I'm going to ignore this. This is all lies. Because again, to tell a lie is pretty difficult, especially if it's going to be a whopper, right? For the most part, the lie has to be somewhat believable. So we should have looked at that rather than I just dismissed the globe as it's just too stupid. It's got to be false. And then didn't actually do any real research into it to figure out things like the fact that, nobody's ever debunked Google Earth. If you go to Google Earth and you put yourself where your location is, you're going to see the sun set exactly how it's supposed to. Well, that should tell us something. You can't just have a flat Earth and then have it mapped onto a sphere and then have it match the observations that people are making. It doesn't make sense. The only way it can match is if it's on the item that you say you're on, or that you're actually on. So it's just
in the whole looking for evidence thing. I think I'm finding that a lot having conversations with Christians, because they have all of a sudden vilified the Bible in a way that I grasped back onto when I was getting back into flat Earth. That even something like that debate with Dean Nodal and Greg Locke. I watched that debate and I was like, man, Dean destroyed that. He
destroyed him. Absolutely.
To the point where he got kicked out of it, got kicked out of the church. I was like,
right.
Everything he said made sense.
Right. Yeah,
and
I totally agree.
I want, that was something that I wanted it to be correct.
Right. Yeah, because you got somebody like the other, what was his name? Pastor Locke, who just didn't grasp the subject at all, is all over the place. And so you immediately take that to, he's wrong. He's wrong. He doesn't know about flat Earth, so he's wrong. But it's like, he doesn't know about our fringe little theory that doesn't have a lot of evidence at all. And we're using that. He doesn't know a lot about our crazy theory. So it must be what he believes is wrong. It's such backwards thinking.
It is.
Yeah, it really is.
It is.
Yeah, it's disappointing because it, like you said, I think it could have been. That's why I'm surprised at the amount of people that are staying in after. I think what they must be doing is just not listening to anything, right? Like I think that they've heard me say one time the Earth's a ball. They're like, no, I'm not listening to that. And it's the same thing we talked about, right? It's that bias. Your brain is putting up a block. It doesn't want to hear me, of all people, telling people that the Earth is a ball. It just doesn't want to hear that. Your brain's not going to let it.
Yeah, no, I could almost tell that immediately. Because that video, the video you just posted of me, that clip in the comment section, the only place I had posted that video really was on your VIP channel and maybe your public channel.
Uh-huh.
And one of the first comments was from Toon, and then he set the stage for the entire comment section of that video because
that's gotta be good.
It was either people, agreeing and being really positive, which there was a lot of, and I Patricia posted in there, Robbie posted in there.
Good.
Quite a few people did. But then anywhere else that I posted it, it would be, McToon posted in there, so you're a shill just like him, and you're a shill just like Jaron, and I'm like, I don't think you guys even understand what that word means. Like,
they don't.
I'm literally a nobody on the internet, and the government's gonna pay me. Like, where's my check?
Right.
Or the common you were never a real flat earther. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Their whole story doesn't even make sense either. I still can't even figure it out. So is it that the government knows it's flat, and so they hired me to? So I don't get it. So, because they say I was never a real flat earther. So then that means that I'm a globe earther, which means that the government hired me to become a flat earther, but a fake one, so that I would go back to the globe. It just doesn't make any sense. It's like, well, what did they get? What is the point? If the Earth is a globe, then you would why would you need to do that? And if the Earth is flat, why would you need to? And you're hiding it. Why would you have me come out and talk about flat Earth? If nobody was talking about it, so it was hidden. So you did well, and yet here it comes, and it just doesn't make any sense. I can't grasp what they actually believe, that all of us are shills. So that must mean that they think that the Earth is flat, and that the elite know that, but then they hired us to bring it out and then to destroy it, I guess is what they're saying. It's kind of the opposite of a shill, but
it's so crazy.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. There's too much just garbage in there. And then again, if the government has a secret, they certainly don't keep it by telling a bunch of people and paying them off. That's not the way you keep secrets. You don't be like, hey, I've got a secret. Here's $1 million. Don't ever tell anybody. and then just think that they're fine. You just walk away and they're just like going to parks and going to dinner and lunch with their friends, and they're not going to ever say anything. And I just trust. I mean, it's just ridiculous. That would never be the way that you would keep a secret. So
right. What would be the point?
Yeah.
And with, like, I could see maybe if you had, a massive, massive outreach.
Right.
But when
I
somebody
didn't.
calls me a shill and I'm like, yeah, the government paid me off for 7,000 followers. Like, what are you talking about?
Right.
Like, that's insane. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I obviously there is controlled opposition, I guess, but certainly not doing what I did. I mean, that's why it's baffling to me. And like you said, not doing what you did. So it's just not. That's not the people that they're paying to be government, or controlled opposition. So what was it that when you were in it that got you to first start questioning it? What was the moment that you would say was the big thing? I know you said there was some things, the Southern Stars, but what was the crutch?
TFE was definitely the crutch.
So that was it.
So thanks to Will Duffy for that. Honestly, like, I didn't want to like that guy.
Neither did I, really. I even made a video about him at the beginning.
It was, you guys announced that basically a year before it took place, and I was already excited about it. And I'm like, man, these guys are going to go to Antarctica, and I was super stoked, like, when it was happening. But I did not like Will. I didn't watch McToon's videos or
Right.
McKeegan's videos. I just didn't. I had tried before, but it was just hard to listen to.
Unbearable, really.
Just because of the way they banter, and I totally understand it now. But then I was like, I'm not listening to this. And then you guys were there, and it was over at that point, honestly. Like,
so before we went down there, you were under the impression already, if they see the sun circle, it's over. If it sets, then we're good.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Well, I wonder why do you think more people can't see, like, is it because they believe in the supernatural, maybe a little bit more than we do? I'm just wondering like, I can accept there's one sun and that we have to be able to explain it. And so as soon as the sun does something that can't be explained on a flat earth, it's just very easy to say, oh, well then that, but everybody else is easily able to dismiss that. They just say, oh, we don't know what the sun does. But it's like, no, we do know what the sun does, and we know where it's at every minute of every day. I don't know why they can't see how that is really a disqualifier. I mean, it's the end game right there. Unless
they just don't want to, man.
Yeah.
Like, they just don't want to. Like, the ones that I see that come back the most, like, negative are all ones that have, like, channel bases based
wow, well said. Yep.
flat earth. So it's like, okay, well, if your entire online identity
Right.
is based around flat earth, then
You're in trouble.
I expect you to just not pay attention to truth or evidence, because that's your thing. Which
is sad, right? It's indicative of what's going on the internet at large. So that's a lot of these movements, a lot of these things are really come down to that once somebody has started to put themselves out there, they hold on to that so tight forever. I mean, it's very difficult for them to get off it. So that's why I give a lot of people credit. I give us credit for what we've done. And same thing is true for Patricia Steer, and same thing is true for Paul on the Plane and Robbie. I mean, Shelly's over there laughing about the quality of people that she says are on the show. However, she's paying no attention to the guy that was in charge of the summit. I mean, in charge of the conferences from North Carolina to Edmonton to Dallas to Denver. The return of the International Flat Earth Conference, the head of that is now back on the globe. So there is quality of people. I don't know where people would place me. I'm probably in the top 20 for sure, flat earthers, and so I'm gone. So I mean, you really can. I mean, Mellow don't. There's so many that it's surprising to me that somebody would try and make fun of the quality. I don't know what she's expecting, who she's expecting to back out, because what it would take is somebody like you said that has a following, who has a big channel with a bunch of people that are like audience like mine. Like in the chat now, I glanced over there earlier and there was some guy in there just going off calling me a bunch of names. So it's like, there's no benefit to people who, unless you stay with it. So I get it. I get why people are, but like you said, then they're not telling the truth. And that means that literally they're lying to their audience. and they probably know it.
Yeah, I think they do know it.
And then you got like Shelley Lewis, like I said, she's somebody else who made a bunch of movies, right? Made a bunch of movies about flat Earth. So if you have that on your repertoire, it's too much for that mind to think, oh, I've been wrong about this for 10 years. But that's why, like I said, Robbie Davidson, big props to him, because that's a tough one to say. Oh, I had these conferences and I was wrong about them. That's difficult to do. It's, even more difficult than what I've had to do, which is, tell my audience. But for him, I didn't really have, I did have the summits, but those are big deals that he did. So I give him a lot of credit. You got Patricia Steer, who was a co-host with Mark Sargent for almost 10 years, So for her just to be able to say, nope, and just, all those people are the same as you and I, saying that, no, the sun is it. The sun makes a difference. Now, if that was all that there was, be another story, right? If that was the only thing, then it'd be like, well, maybe we need to figure this out. Maybe there's something we'll figure out here. But it's not that. It's so many things. And that is just kind of the linchpin that, tells you that the South is what they tell us. The South works the opposite of the North. That's it, right? I mean, the sun goes around the North for 6 months and then around the South for 6 months. That's what it does. So once you confirm that, it's the Earth's a sphere. It's the way it goes.
Yeah, I've been your explanation of the way you simply broke down celestial navigation and the whole 1 degree per 69 miles, and I wish I would have heard these things
So do I.
before, because it's the biggest part of it that I like the most is that, like you've said, these are things that you can go prove for yourself. You don't have to trust NASA. You don't have to trust another YouTuber or some dumb TikToker. You can, if you put the effort towards it, you can go figure these things out for yourself and just do it. And then you will come back and you will be like, the Earth is nothing but a ball. Like, it has to be.
Right. It has to be. I mean, as soon as you see the sun south of you in Antarctica, or even south of you in Punta Arenas. That's why I tell people, go down to Punta Arenas. Go down in December. I don't remember what the flight cost, but it was probably maybe $1,500 or $2,000. And so, that's a pretty cheap price to figure out the shape of the Earth. So to me, and if you went down there and went to Punta Arenas, which is the southernmost area of South America, it's absolutely positive. I mean, the sun is sweeping under the horizon over there, and then you can just go look on Google Earth, or you can go up north next time, and that won't even cost you as much. Go to Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, is the same north that the Punta Arenas is south, and you'll see the exact same thing in reverse. And that's that's it.
When I saw I was watching your live video when you were in Punta Arenas, and I was like, you guys were watching the sunset, and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, and it was like, it was going left, and you could see it, and it was like, even Whitsitt and I were like, it's the coffee cup caustic. It's bouncing off the dome. We were both like shot in the gut. Like, ugh. But it was definitely, it's as clear as could be. And then again, that's another thing, is that if somebody takes an observation of the sun at a certain time in the north and then goes down 6 months later in the south and sees the exact opposite, so that you don't need anybody. You don't need government. You don't need GPS. You don't need a compass. You don't need anything. All this stuff can be figured out on our own. And so that's what's disappointing, is that this is not like, hey, trust me, bro. This isn't a trust me, bro. This is a go do it yourself. Just like the people saying that we faked TFE. It's like, just go down there and prove that then. Just go down there and show that we faked it by showing that the sun sets. I mean, it's so stupid. You're going to go down there and see exactly what we saw. So,
yeah, every time I ask somebody for actual evidence that TFE was faked, they switch subjects instantly. Nobody has anything.
Well, Whitsitt vaped or something, so they think. The whole thing is fake. Then that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it's surprising to me, and I think that was really indicative of the kind of people that I was working with, where you get back and you just hear it's either fake or it doesn't matter, and you're like, no, we can't do that. We can't do that anymore. That's we've got to figure this out. No, it's fake or it doesn't matter. You faked it, and it's like, man, that's the new position of a flat earther, which is everything that goes against our model is fake. And anything that goes against our model, even if it's not true, is we just celebrate it and cheer it on. And that's why it's so funny to hear him say, like, you can't tell the shape of the ground by looking at the lights in the sky. 2 weeks later, you got Alan and Shane coming out and saying that the celestial navigation proves the flat Earth. And you're like, wait, I thought Celestine, you mean using things in the sky again? Oh, wow, that's hilarious. You just got done telling us that you can't do that, and now because it proves a flat Earth, you can. So it's just like, it's so obvious when you're outside of it looking back, like, man, that's how we were the whole time. Because, like, think about it. What did we do? In 10 years, did we bust something open? Was there something revealed? Did we, advance something? Did we explore something? Did we uncover something? No. We just were like noisy kids.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I ever saw flat earthers do really, and no discredit to you, but is like over water laser and light tests and such. Right. And, I remember specifically somebody coming into one of my comment sections and having this conversation. He's like, light does bend, Right. And I'm like, no, it doesn't. It's a straight laser. It goes over a straight lake, making that argument. And he's showing me examples of lasers bending in water and bending
like the fish tank examples
and atmosphere and stuff. And I'm like, I just ignored it.
Right.
I'm like, no, it's flat.
Yeah, and it's like go ahead.
You're just too quick to dismiss anything that comes in at that point. That's why I think the psychology of it all is just so crazy.
Oh, that's the weirdest thing about it. Is that it's because like now I understand where the people that hate me and think that, because I was there, and so I can think back and remember what it was like to have that block. So I know what it's like when Simon Dan, what's his name? Tiger Dan. When he left, I made a video just calling him every name in the book and telling him he's a wimp and that he's a pussy for not believing the flat. Just like, and I was so sure I was right. It wasn't like I was nervous making the video, like, oh, maybe he's right. Maybe it is a continent on the bottom of the. No, so you just you get so much bravado, you get so much macho. I'm right and you're wrong, and you just run with it. And then you've got all these people that have your back, right? All these people in your chats that agree with you, so it's even worse. And then imagine being me who goes to these conferences and people come up to you and ask you for your autograph or want to take pictures with you. Your brain loves that. So your brain isn't thinking like, oh, I could be wrong. Your brain wants to make sure that you stay right. So when you hear this information coming from the outside, that you dismiss it. And I think it's done on purpose it's not the person, it's really your brain is doing, it's protecting itself and its belief and what it likes, which is, having people who say, oh, you're so smart because you figured out the flat Earth.
Right. So, yeah, I totally get that.
So then you left Flat Earth after TFE. I saw your video. What was that? How long do you think after TFE did you feel comfortable coming out and saying it?
Probably about a month.
Okay. And what was that month like?
It was me being 95% convinced that you guys saw what you saw, and then 5% filtering through videos of people that I have followed for a very long time calling it fake.
Right.
And, it honestly didn't take me very long to disseminate what they were saying and being like, okay, that's, one of the biggest things that came out first was the, aside from, the Vapegate thing, was like the footprints in the ice and so forth. And I'm like, they're like, oh, they don't leave footprints in the snow. I'm like, guys, there is no snow in Antarctica. It's a desert. It's ice. Like, go walk on ice and see how many footprints you leave. Like, every footprint that you see is clearly on like graded pathways. Right. So, a machine comes over, tears up the ice, so you get a little bit of traction, and then sure, you might leave your footprint. But aside from that, I'm like, you're walking on a giant iceberg. Like,
yeah, it's
and all of the, it wasn't too the whole Amazon studio thing, that was instant out for me. I was like, you guys are insane.
In real time, live. It's like, that's a movie that takes months and it has all these post edits, and they're like, we're just doing that live, no problem, in a studio.
Yeah, no, I didn't go for any of that, but I did kind of want to just see how it all kind of played out. Right. And I kind of I entertained it for about a month, and I was like, no, I'm done. I was like, it's over. I'd already told myself that if you guys went and saw what you saw in Antarctica, that it proved that we live on a sphere. And then, of course, the waters got all muddied with all the stupid conspiracy shit about it being fake. And I just kind of watched that go down.
Who did you tell first? Do you remember?
That's a good question. I think it was one of my buddies that I used to work with who was a flat earther. He's the main reason, one of the main reasons I got into flat earth.
And he still is?
I'm guessing that if I had to guess, he's not going to be a flat earther for very long.
Okay.
He's a smart dude, but he got me into it, and he's honest about things like this. So, I think he was probably the first, and then, I might have mentioned it to a couple people. I definitely went through my blocked viewer list on my Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a few names that stood out that I had blocked, and I unblocked them and sent them a message, and basically apologized and was like, I was wrong.
Right.
I had a few people that I had conversations with that were always very respectful, but they were hardcore globies, but they were always respectful to me. So we always had good conversation. It didn't matter if, it was always about that topic, but it didn't matter if I was a flat earther or they were a globie. And I definitely went to those people and apologized. And I had another really good friend on Instagram that I know personally. We're friends here. He moved a few states away, so I don't see him anymore. But we always have great conspiracy chats and so forth. And he was always telling me, he's like, dude, you're in a cult. He's like, flat earth is fucking stupid. I'm not going for this one. It didn't matter what I showed him. We were eye to eye on just about everything, and except for flat earth. And he would be like, oh, you're in a cult. And my reaction would be, you're in a psyop was the other one. And I'm like, how could I be in a psyop if this information is, thousands of years old or hundreds of years old or whatever, it's like all this evidence of these ancient civilizations that people are like, oh, they knew the earth was flat. They knew the earth was flat.
It's like, what else do we look at the ancient civilizations and be like, well, they drank, rotten milk. It's like, well, okay, big deal.
Yeah, no, you're looking back. It's crazy. It's
right.
Like, okay, well, even if the Bible was written with these pretenses that they were writing about what they saw,
right,
and they all lived in the north, they wouldn't necessarily be wrong.
Yeah, flat Earth looks pretty good.
When I look up in the sky and I look at the stars on a clear night, it looks like I'm under a dome.
Yeah,
because all those stars look like they're bending around me.
Right.
So you can envision these things as your reality.
Pretty easily.
Only builds that confirmation, and then then you see the other side, and you're like, okay, this is why I see things this way.
Right.
And then it all starts to make sense when you apply it to we live on a ball.
Right.
I think your whole demonstration of the Home Depots and the football fields and the swimming pools and all the buildings,
does that work?
That was a big eye opener.
Yeah, me too.
Because I never thought about scale that way, and I think that's a problem with a lot of flat earthers is they don't understand scale.
There's still ones that want to argue when I say that if you had a 650 foot long level, which doesn't exist. Of course, there's no item in the world that's 650 feet long that's one rigid piece of anything anyway. But let's say we had one, that you would put that down on a sphere Earth and it would show level because it's only an 1/8 inch of curve, and there's no way you would be able to see that, a bubble in the middle of that. And then you could just keep moving it and you would get back to where you started after hundreds of thousands of times. And it was always level. That to me was just kind of a slap in the face, like, holy smokes, how did I not see this before? I always put it in an argument against, they say level is the same distance away from the center. And so everything I thought about was always curved Earth, right? Oh, level, but it can't be level, it's curved, right? But then it took me, kind of realizing that. And those are things I don't think Glober said. That's why I wonder if they actually wanted to get people out of flat Earth or if they're just trying to keep their channels going. Because they really didn't give a lot of good information that it could have helped, it seems like.
I mentioned in my video, like I kind of blame the education system a little bit because
Right. They spent no time on it.
Balls.
They spent no
They
time.
just showed you a bunch of balls spinning around each other, and they're like, "Oh, you live here, and everything else is nothing." And
Right.
you get a little bit of info, but like they don't really put it into like a proper perspective of
scale. They don't show anything about scale. They didn't talk about that. They talk about the fact that we can't even fathom something that big. It's just our brains are not equipped to picture the Earth as it really is. You can't. There's no way you can fathom something that large in space. When we think of space, we see little balls, little bowling balls going around each other. That's what we're shown on the screen. So we always see spheres that are smaller than us. Whether they're on the screen, supposed to be representing big items, doesn't matter. We don't see them that way. We look at the solar system as like, oh, little balls. Look at they're all going around each other when it's actually gigantic masses that we can't even fathom. Where's your brother at now with it?
That's a good question. I was actually kind of waiting for this interview to go down, and I was going to share it with him. I think the last I kind of talked to him, I don't like pushing things too hard, especially with my family.
Right.
He's smart enough to be able to kind of discern information as it comes.
Right.
So, he thanked me for making the video that I did before, and he seemed to be understanding of that. So
well, it's good that you guys never dug your feet in and really became hostile, because after I've been telling people for years, don't do that to your friends, don't do that to your brothers or sisters, because once you call them a moron, they call you an idiot, then both people dig their feet in and will never see that they're wrong. And so immediately when I come out, everybody's in the comments on Facebook calling me every name in the book, and it hurts me because I'm like, man, now these people have to dig their feet in. Because now not only are they wrong, but they're wrong and they have to apologize to me. So I'm actually making it even harder for them to get out, because they've dug their feet in and said, you're an imbecile, you're an idiot, you're a globetard. So that's even more firm cement for them to be stuck in, which is sad to see. And
each person, each one of you just digs your heels in.
Right.
So you go nowhere.
No. Yeah, you were mentioning some people like just people I'm thinking of. Stefan Molyneux is somebody that I gave no credit to once he said the Earth was a ball. Larkin Rose, another guy who said the Earth's a ball. I gave him a hard time about it. What's the guy that does Caravan to Midnight? I wanted to say John LeBon, but it's like John something. Can't remember his name.
I'm not sure.
He's another one that just came out right from the beginning. And Mike Adams, another one who wanted nothing to do with flat Earth, and he lost a lot of people because of it. Because like you said, so do you now see it as a psyop?
I definitely see it as a psyop.
Yeah, me too.
What I'm trying to figure out now is like, if it is a psyop and it was something that was intentionally implanted into the psyche of people, clearly vulnerable people,
right?
What would be that purpose? And the only thing I can really the only thing that kind of makes sense is that I think a lot of us were in that conspiracy truther realm, right? And at least for me, when I came into it, like as COVID was starting, you're posting things about, or not you particularly, but like myself, I was posting, things about the shots and, the World Economic Forum and all of these different things. And Flat Earth came into play, and it kind of muddied the waters. And so anybody that was conspiratorial, kind of conspiracy minded, or anybody that was looking from outside, even questioning maybe this whole COVID thing's a little weird, like there's something not right here.
Right.
And then they find these channels of people that are also talking about that, but at the same time they're also talking about flat Earth, and they're like, oh, these guys think the Earth is flat,
right?
Like, this is, I'm not even going to pay attention to anything else, so it's almost like I kind of think maybe if it was planted like that, it was just to kind of take away from the other truths that people were talking about, you know?
Yeah, I think that could be it. It could be that there's, people were kind of getting onto some of the things. And so by introducing the flat earth, you would be attracting that truther crowd. You're going to be attracting that, the group that says they've lied to us about everything, which may be the case, but it's not the case about the shape of the earth. But by introducing that, then all of a sudden you do have those people who just de facto fell into that, right? They just, they've lied to us about everything. You're right. They've lied to us about the earth too. And that, I think, set it up for a pretty good run. But then, our story doesn't make a lot of sense as far as that goes either, because you do have YouTube suppressing it. It may have started to get too big. Maybe they're like, we need to calm this down or something, because if left unchecked, I think it really could become something big. I would be wrong, but it would become something big. So,
yeah. And at the time, we all saw that as more power to our case.
100%. Yeah. That's why I don't think it does them any good to do things like that, like block your YouTube history, your view history. That's just dumb, because that to me, that was a sign that the earth was flat.
Yeah, when I got my original Instagram account deleted for it, that only cemented what I was saying in my mind.
Right.
I'm like, well, if they're gonna ban me because I'm talking about flat Earth, then fuck you. I'm gonna keep talking about it.
Right. And then you have everybody coming at you and all the Globers coming at you, and it just seems like and I guess that's the mindset when you have when you start using that they word, right? They want they're holding back the truth. They're hiding the truth. When we don't really have a they, who they is, it's just the leaders of the elite. We might call them the controllers. But when you start doing that, then what happens is anything that comes into play can always be explained away with they, right? Oh, right. They're hiding it. They've lied. They have technology. And then you've got a problem, because how are you ever going to get out of that belief system? You're now able to take anything that happens. It's like with, where I guess I first started really noticing it is Mandela effect, when, like whether or not, what's his name? Ed McMahon had ever been with, Publishers Clearinghouse. Well, I've actually heard them say that they've said, oh, well, if you find evidence that he was, they call that residue. But if you find no evidence, then it means that it's been erased, and that it's either one is evidence. So of course it's going to take off, because what you're saying is that if you find it, it's evidence. And if you don't find it, it's evidence. So that's how all the Mandela works. So it just rolls through, where there can be no evidence that is against you. Because if you find the old thing, then you're saying that's the residue. If you don't find the old thing, it's because it's been changed. So it's either one is always evidence, which is, to me, I was like, oh shit, that's trouble. Because how do you get people?
That's a dead end.
Yeah. I mean, you're just, exactly. What are you doing? You're just, that's the way it goes. So no matter what somebody brings up, they can say, well, I saw this movie this way. Okay. Well, some people agree with me. Okay, great. But if we go looking for the evidence of it and we don't find it, that is evidence of it. And if we go looking for it and do find it, you'll just say that that's residue and that it's still around on something, So it's just one of those things where I started noticing that with the flat earth, that it's the same kind of thing where, if you see something you're not supposed to see, or it's kind of like that whole black swan argument, right? The black swan was like a one-time observation. Like the guy Bo went down there every day for like half a year. And then the one day that he saw those habitats, and then they're like, oh, this is the black swan. And again, that's like such poor evidence when you're talking about, you found one day where you saw something, and we're going to bank everything off that. But you just don't see it like that. You see it as evidence, right? You're like, oh, black swan, that's our evidence. That's the earth. But you don't actually think about what you're saying. That you went out one day, and then, it's just funny, because it's like, how do you not see that when you're in it? I don't know. But I didn't see it till I got out. Then I started looking around, like everything that we say is like such a stretch. And then hearing Dave Weiss talk so sure about, oh, Jaron's compromise. And Dave Weiss the other day said, I'm the most anti-Christian person on earth. Like, what? I mean, that's just ridiculous, because I said something one time 10 years ago, and I'm the worst, most anti-Christian person. Give me a break. There's Satanists in the world.
Coming from a guy who's never taken a religious position is crazy.
Right. Well, now he has to. Now he has to find God. So he's found God lately and said, it's a spiritual warfare, and you're not spiritually connected if you don't see the flat earth. But it's just hearing him sound so sure about things I know he's false about. Like, oh, and these three had SEC violations, which they never did. Nothing like that at all. Just complete fabrications. But then you wonder about everything else that was said, right? All the things that were said with gusto and so sure of themselves He's telling people he's got a whistleblower from Microsoft that was down there doing a fake sun. I mean, it's just nonsense. And it's the sad part is people believe it. People believe it. It's so bad. The other day, I don't know if you saw my show on Friday, but I showed that there was this fake news clip that went out. I think that guy Terry R. Eicher from Flat Out Truth, he put it out. I don't know if he's the first one, but somebody did. It's just an AI voice over some highlights of that rocket launch with Katy Perry. And it's
I saw that clip.
Yeah, it's just terrible, right? It's so fake. And then yesterday, somebody told me, hey, Flatzoid's talking about that video. I'm like, what is he saying? They're like, he thinks it's real. I'm like, oh my God. So I go watch the show, and sure enough, he's saying like, and now we've got Jeff Bezos who's suing Katy Perry because she let the hoax out. I'm like, holy shit, we are dumb as hell. You got to be kidding me. Because there's so many. I mean, then you just think of all the people that watch him and all, and they have to agree with him. And it just gets to the point where you're like, holy shit, man. I mean, it's almost like somebody should try and do something so fake because the flat earthers will believe it. I mean,
100%.
Yeah. I mean, if you get up and say, hey, look, somebody took a picture from a hot air balloon of the flat earth, and it's just a picture of like the flat earth continent, they'll run with it. Flat earth finally seen, So it's like, I never did that.
I've seen some wild AI images that flat earthers have been posting.
Oh, it's trouble.
Like, I got to mention this. Like, yeah. I'm so glad that TFE took place when it did.
Me too. What do you mean with AI coming?
Oh my God, man. Like, that little bit you did on your show a couple days ago or whatever, where you took ChatGPT and you.
Yeah, in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, and it took you 5 minutes to make this like super convincing video about.
And it's making jokes and saying things like John Bonet, and I did tell it to do that. Like it's coming up with itself.
Speaking from the like entire gamma of like conspiracy stuff, and I'm like, dude, this is wild. Like,
it frightens me because I know that people are not like me. I know that I've got a moral voice inside me. So when I think like how easy it would be to make money doing that, I immediately say like, oh no, you can't do that. And then I think about all the people that would say that to themselves and immediately go do it. And that's what's out there right now. People just making AI, just cashing in on this whole system and making TikTok videos that are just so far-fetched, but people believe them. There's statues of bleeding blood in Antarctica, and you just look at the comments, like, I knew it, it's the times of Noah, and it's just like, shut the hell up.
And like you've mentioned before, like I'm so on the fence about like TikTok is like it's poison.
It is poison,
like to people's brains, and seeing people. Like the fittest flat earther that have like insane amounts of views on his videos, and he's like, "Oh, Elvis Presley is Donald Trump," and like just the craziest shit.
500,000 views, 500,000 views, 500. Yeah, views I'll never see.
And you go through the comments, and everybody's like, "Oh, thank you so much, man, for sharing the truth, and you're so right." And
I always knew it was him.
If you so much as dare go into those comment sections and start posting otherwise, like, dude, it hurts my head. I'm like, this is insane that people are this like.
Yeah, it's pretty scary. And then to be somebody that, you kind of see that you kind of put some people there is the worst thing for me, because that's the only reason I keep doing this is because I have this nagging feeling that like, no, you can't leave yet because you're leaving too many people in vulnerable positions because they don't know that people like Terry Archer are making fake videos with AI. They don't know that Banjo is lying and making fake videos. Banjo has a video where he uses AI and Duffy's voice to say that I was paid off, that they paid me. I mean, this is what people are spending their time doing. And
that's crazy.
Like, he may think that it's a joke, and he may think that he's doing it just for fun, but he doesn't realize his audience believes that. People believe that stuff. It's crazy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's insane to see how people react to some of this. So how do you feel since getting out?
I feel like it was a gigantic relief.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I feel very comfortable, like now knowing I don't have, like, I spent so much energy and time.
You're telling me.
I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but it just like looking back, like just so much energy and time and just thinking about it. And it's like, going back to the whole, like wife and kids thing, like, God bless my wife, man. She's a saint, because it wasn't like with you, your wife,
Right.
You guys went on this journey together.
True.
And me and my wife did not go on this journey together. It was something that just kind of came about, and I slowly started trying to talk about it. And, thankfully, I mean, more than thankfully, I'm glad that she kind of like hung with me, even if I don't think she would have ever considered herself a flat earther, but I definitely think over the period of years, she had questions and we could talk about it, and she was okay with me being a flat earther.
Right.
And to be honest, I didn't really want her consumed with
Right. Cause you knew how much
the
it
topic.
puts in your head.
Like,
right.
we have too many other things going on, and she's very good with our children and the schooling, and
Right.
she's not stupid. Like, she's awake to a lot of things. She's very much natural. We have our garden and our chickens and all these kinds of things. Like, these are things that she's very good at nurturing.
Right.
And we did have our arguments about me exposing the kids to what I believed with flat earth. And I pushed that it was okay for me to explain these things, because I really thought it was the truth, and I had all this evidence, and I could, talk about it comfortably. Right. But she kind of, thankfully, she kind of she let me figure this all out myself. Like, she was even apprehensive about this interview,
Right.
She made a comment basically like, okay, well, you had already made up your mind about this. How do you know you're right now?
Right.
And
yeah, my wife kind of said the same thing, but then we talked about it and she got to the same point where, when you really lay it out there with the actual mind that you should, where you put pros and cons, or you put evidence on one side and the other, it's just overwhelming. And so, the difference is that, before, when I was the other way, it was contingent on a lot of things, right? You're basically saying, well, I think the Earth's flat. I'm pretty sure, we knew the Earth's flat, but it's because of all these things that we thought were the case, that the South is a lie for me, that the South Pole was a lie, that, the South Celestial Pole was, all these things had to be untrue. So, once you lay it out there like that, so maybe it's because we actually have now truly looked into both sides, right? So that might be why we feel more convicted now, because I have no worry that, like, I'm going to, and again, you might say, well, you had no worry when you were a flat earther, and I really didn't. But the difference is that now I can look back and say, oh, I didn't ever take the other side into consideration, right? Whereas now I've been a flat earther for 10 years. So I have taken that into consideration. I've made it my life. So then when you see the other side, you're like, oh, that side's wrong. So it's not the same as before, when I don't think we really fully understood what we were against, At least that's for me.
Yeah, we didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right about that.
So
it's like, kind of on that, a name comes to mind only because, like, it was like a common link between me and my wife was like people like Amanda Vollmer.
Okay.
Right. My wife had ordered products from her, was super happy. She follows her on Facebook, but she's a flat earther.
Right.
So I think that kind of helped, like, vilify at least me believing in flat earth to her, because,
right.
There's other people that she may follow or whatever that
right.
Have really good information. Fortunately, I think Amanda's still a flat earther, but
yeah, I know. And it's tough for me too. I have not talked to her. I've not tried to, because we were good friends, and I know she doesn't agree with me. So it's just, we haven't talked because I know I don't want to tell her that she's wrong, and I don't want to hear her tell me that I'm wrong. It would just turn into something.
You have respect.
Right. Yeah. And I respect the other work that she's done. I think she's a cool lady, and cool, I've never seen anything bad with her. So it's just one of those things where you're like, that makes it difficult. Yeah, you're right. But you're saying because your wife followed her and she's a flat earther, then it was kind of okay that you were in proxy.
It softened the blow.
Right. Yeah.
You know, for sure. You know, like knowing that like my brother, like there's other people that were very close to us.
Right.
That were also on the flat earth side. I think it was like, okay, I'm just going to let him roll with this kind of thing, you know?
Right.
But like I said, we didn't have those conversations very often because part of me just didn't want her head consumed with it. Like,
right.
It's just not necessary.
Okay, well, think of some other things you want to talk about real quick. I'm just going to highlight a few things. I'm putting in the chat the link to Melodome's GoFundMe, I guess you want to call it, or whatever you want to call that. And that is for...
Shout out to Austin.
There you
Melodome, bro. Like,
yeah, he actually, people don't realize how much they have. Yeah, huge.
Your sun observations were huge. It's, you know, Crow 777s, hydrogen shots definitely kind of blew my mind a bit.
Right.
And then Melodome's time-lapse photos of the sun, it's like,
well,
how can anybody say that this is not a physical sphere in the sky?
And so it was perfect timing because for me, it was right leading into TFE. So I got to eliminate right away, oh, the sun is physical. So if Melodome wasn't around, I would have gone into TFE with maybe this thought of apparent suns and would have let myself start drifting there. So I'm very thankful as well to him. So yeah, if you guys could help out Melodome, even if you have a buck, there's always strength in numbers, which here's the great thing is that he's going to post all those videos and time lapses on his channel. So it's like we all get a hydrogen alpha telescope for $1, which you can't beat that. So please do
save a coffee. Get this guy a telescope, please.
I agree. Save a coffee. Just like you would tip a bartender, tip Austin for all his work. We do appreciate it. And then also, if you're interested in being interviewed for these WWF shows, you can reach out on Telegram, t.me/Jeranism, or you can go to email me at wwf@Jeranism, and we will get you scheduled. Pretty easy to schedule yourself, right?
Yep, that was easy.
Good. So let me look at the super chats and see if we've got any of those. We'll ask those questions. And did you have anything else you wanted to bring up that we missed?
Yep, I do. I owe you a bit of gratitude and thanks because unfortunately people don't have access to them anymore. But I think in what was that, like October or November, you started putting out that 6-episode series trying to help men. Yeah,
the Raw series.
Yeah, the Raw series. I had watched those several times. I had shared a couple with my wife. Men out there watching this right now, go watch Jaren's. At least watch the 50 tips for men. Jeren ain't bullshitting. My wife was not supposed to get pregnant. I'm 43 years old. She's 43 years old. The chances from the doctors were very slim, and I'm not saying that it was all these practices, but I'm telling you right now, my wife even said, she's like, thank Jeren for telling my husband to do Kegels.
Well, I'm not lying. I mean, it's funny that people, they don't want to trust you, especially men. They don't want to admit that they could use help, but we all could. And there's some things out there, just like everything else is hidden from us, secrets that people just never told us. You know? No,
you motivated me to stop drinking.
Good.
In the first 45 days, me and her both stopped drinking, and I was doing Kegels. She got pregnant.
Well, that makes me happy. Now, is the baby going to be named Jeren? That's the question.
You know what's funny is Maverick is on our name.
I like it. All right.
On our list.
It's a good name, although I will tell you that he'll be a little pill. They take advantage of that name.
We've experienced that with both our kids.
Okay, good.
Just expecting that anyways. So.
Well, that's awesome. 43, both of you. Congratulations on that. That is huge. How far along? When do we get that one? You said it's on the way?
She is due August 17th. So
Very
she's
cool.
about halfway.
Very cool. Okay. Let's go. We've got Addicted to Globing. Says, total respect, Lealan. Glad you escaped the cult. So, yes. I don't know why that's not showing up on screen. And then we got Addicted to Globing, 5 gift memberships. Thank you very much. And Addicted to Globing again. Jeren, where does your wife stand in regards to the shape of the earth? Yeah, she's totally a glober now. I mean, kind of like what Lealan was saying, that my wife does such a good job with my son and with the house and with cleaning and with cooking that, I didn't want her involved in this. Her head's got to be somewhere else. Our son has, some food allergies, and so she just needs to be a mom and a wife. And that's really what ended up working out best for us. When she was doing this as well, you got to, now she's reading the comments, because I tend to start thinking now that when you get into the so-called truth movement, think of all the things that you start hearing about, like the satanic ritual abuse, right? And you hear about these elite, 13 families and sacrifices, Bohemian Grove, all those things. I think that the more that we think about that, we're actually like manifesting that world. I
think you're right.
Yeah, we are, that's where they want. If your focus is on everything that the elite is doing to you, then the elite will keep doing it to you. Like you're just bringing it on upon yourself. So where we started to have a better luck is where I kind of did this and was able to use her as my release, to use her as my refuge, right? So it's I'm doing this, but then we go do that separate, and it's a whole different thing. Whereas when you're married together, our whole life was like chaotic conspiracies. This is happening. And then once we separated that, at least it went away. So, that was the way that we had to handle it, because if she would have been right there, with me, who knows how far she would have gone too. But first when I told her I was going to go to Antarctica, she's like, well, what difference would that make? How is that going to prove it? And so I started talking to her about the sun. And once she understood, we were around the backyard talking about the southern sun. And so pretend we're walking south, right? We're just walking. We see the sun. It's going around us. And then we get down to Punta Arenas. I said, and then we see the sun going the other way. And she's like, oh yeah, then it's a globe. Like, okay, me too. So she knew what I knew going down there. And I think it kind of went the same for both of us. We both thought that the trip would definitely be canceled. And then as it got closer, it was like, you think you're going to go on this trip? I'm like, if I go on the trip, I'm afraid we're going to see what they say we're going to see. Like the closer it gets, the more I'm thinking, oh shit. But she was in the same boat. She was right there with me the whole time. So yeah, that's her position as of now. Thank you very much for asking though. Addicted to globing. Okay, go ahead. Do you have anything else? Those were all we had for Super Chats.
No. Oh, I do want to say, I gotta shout out. We'll see if Eddie Bravo catches wind of any of this, but people have been posting my picture of me and my brother going to a show, and I was wearing this shirt.
I love it. And did he say anything?
No, he did at the beginning of the show. As soon as he walked out on stage, we were like right in the front, and he was like, hey, what's up? He's like, oh, you got an anti-flat Earth shirt on or whatever. He's like, I'm not getting into flat Earth tonight.
Oh, he didn't talk about it. Okay.
Yeah, he didn't talk about it. And then at the end of the show, we went up and just, take a picture with the stars, and that picture got around.
I saw it.
And all of a sudden people are like, oh, Eddie Bravo's a shill. He came out about
oh boy.
About not being a flat earther anymore, and saying that like I had some part in it. I'm like, I went to a show. I didn't say but like 10 words to the guy. Like we didn't have a conversation about it. I just happened to stand there and I thought the shirt was funny. And it like turned into this like internet thing. And I'm like, you guys are fucking crazy. So Eddie, if you're watching this and you're still a flat earther, I'm sorry. It's all good. Don't beat me up, please.
He doesn't want to fight you. I tried to get him to fight you for me, but he wouldn't do it.
No, I don't want that.
All right. Let's see if there's anything else. So what do we have coming up? We do have a couple more people this week. I know Scoundrel will be happening this week, and there is another person too. Nick. I believe Nick's happening this week. Shifty this week?
I don't know if he's this week, but
I don't know. But he is coming up. Yeah, he's awesome. There's a lot of good people that have hung around and kind of had my back, which I appreciate. At least they see the honesty, because it is a sad predicament to be in. It's sad, but at the same time, it's very easy to be in the spot that I'm in, which is just I'm being honest. So people can call me a fraud. People can make little AI dolls or whatever they want to do, or make AI songs. And the sad part is that they're wrong. So it's what else can you do? That's the way you got to live life, even if it takes you down to the nothing, which it might, but at the same time, I'm living truthfully. And I do recognize now that YouTube is a place for liars and frauds. I mean, if I really wanted to show people that, I could show them by making those AI stupid videos and getting 20,000 views on some channel, and it would just be lying to people. And I can't understand how anybody is okay with that. It's pretty sad.
Yeah, well, I hope you keep doing what you're doing, man.
Thank you.
At least for as long as you can handle it, because I think it helps a lot of people. It helped me. I saw Will's video saying he was about to make his exodus out of the conversation, and I think Will's a really great debater. I think he's very well spoken and very honest, and I think people need to see that kind of thing. But I also, at the same time, dude, I get it. Like I'm pretty over the whole thing. Like at this point,
oh, me too. Jeez.
I know what the world is. We live on a sphere. It's very big and it moves very slow.
Right.
I don't need to know, like you said before, like I don't need to know all of the other details. I'll leave that for people that are much, much smarter than I am.
Right. Yeah, dark matter, dark energy. Like nobody knows what the hell that is. So it's like, you come asking me. I'm like, oh yeah, yes, good person to ask.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, it's just not.
I just don't care.
Yeah.
Like I've spent enough time and enough energy on this topic, and I don't have a big following, so the internet's not going to notice if I just disappear.
Right.
But at the same time,
well, I'm glad you got to keep your job and everything.
I've been engaging in a lot of conversations with flat earthers and just trying to like see if there's any room to give in their thinking. And so far what I'm seeing is the ones at least that I've talked to, they're not willing to give it up right now. So what's the point? Yeah, no,
I think that the people that at least doubted at some point or thought that there's a chance that we were wrong, those people might see it. But the ones that have been, the ones that say we know for a fact, it's just, there's too much garbage that's gone on with NASA. There's too much garbage that's gone on with being lied to about every event that to them, they just see this as another thing. And then they really do see it as a cucking to the system. If you go back to the globe, which is just unfair to the truth, right? Truth should be what's important. It's not a matter of, oh, well, that's a mainstream belief. Well, now you've become, we're just, we don't believe in the mainstream, but it's like, but that's not a truther then. You're anti-mainstream. There's a difference, right? Because there is some things that we learn that are true. So, it really is a selective kind of thing. All right. Well, do you have any final words, or do you want to speak out to the people that are still left and let them know any final hints or tips from you?
Man, I don't know. You just gotta, there's nothing you can do to just take that block away from somebody's mind.
Yeah.
I just want to encourage people to like actually acknowledge that there is a block there. Do your best to kind of see around that wall. Just like take a peek, like go on some of the channels that you never thought you would go to. Go watch an MC Toon video. Go watch a Dave McKeegan video. Go watch the videos that you didn't want to watch before, and just like be honest with yourself.
Right.
And really allow yourself to just like be humbled by the situation, because flat Earth, it's not going anywhere, and like it's not gonna go anywhere. We thought we knew the truth, and we thought there was like, we knew something cool that nobody else knew, but it's now there's nothing there, man. There's just nothing.
When you got to start doing, apparent suns and plasma radars in the sky off of God's LCD screen or whatever. I mean, all these things, it just gets desperate, and it looks desperate now. And yet flat earthers don't see that. They see it as answers, right? Every answer that somebody gives, they're like, oh, that's an answer, but it's actually just desperation.
Yeah. Well, I think that the one hope is that I almost think that the amount of flat earthers that we have, even prior to TFE, I can't imagine that there's going to be that many more coming onto the scene.
I agree.
There was definitely an explosion between 2016 and pre-TFE.
Right.
I would have been one to say that, oh man, like flat Earth is blowing up, or like about to crest the line. Everybody's going to be a flat earther and know the truth. And that's obviously not the case anymore. And I can't imagine that Flat Earth is going to be pulling in that many new people.
I don't see it either. And I don't see anybody new coming on the scene who's like, I want to jump on and make a YouTube channel. Because they're going to see what's happened. I mean, there's nobody who's got good numbers. There's nobody who's getting good views because it's also segregated and segmented. Everybody gets 5,000 views. It's not happening like it was in 2017, where it was actually enticing and people were coming on and becoming, content creators. So I agree. I think that it will definitely be less than what it is now a year from now. Let's say that,
I hope so.
I hope so too, because it is dangerous. It can be dangerous, and it really, it turns people into wicked, wicked people. People that I thought were good are just for me telling the truth and them having such a strong belief in what is wrong that they, will actually just become vicious people. It's kind of scary. It's kind of sad. It really did wreck a lot of people that were probably good people before. So it's unfortunate.
Agreed.
And I hope that people that are there just relax a little. Relax. You'll be fine. And just like you said, take 2 weeks off. Maybe is a good advice. So just like get away from the computer, get away from online for just 2 weeks. Let everything reset, kind of like a fast. And you might see clearer. Because certainly even going on the trip and not being around videos every day, think about it, my life is I'm watching a video every day. There's somebody sending me a video, somebody sending me a video. So when we went on the trip, it was actually me getting away from that and kind of back into the real world, looking around, observing. And that's really what it took for me to see that we were wrong. So it's okay. Sometimes in life, you're wrong. And you just have to move past it and learn from it. So, speaking of this week, we've got on Friday, instead of the Unplugged show, we're going to have Dave McKeegan and I are getting together, I believe, at 10 a.m. Pacific time. I think I'll have to check. We're around that time. And so we're going to be talking about the moon landing. And that's going to be big for me because it's something that I still have my doubts on. And we have some evidence ready to put forward. And we'll see what he's got to say. And Dave McKeegan, like when you mentioned go watch somebody's show, Dave McKeegan is a guy you really have to watch because he's just honest. He's just honest, and he's just telling you, how he usually researches before he does a video and then explains it. And I've learned a lot from him. So I definitely recommend him.
He legit seems like a very good guy, and he's way easy to listen to. Yeah,
and he just, I feel so bad because I made fun of his dog before and called it.
That's fucked up, man.
Yeah, no. In fact, somebody, I Am the Craig said that that's the one reason he didn't like me. He's one of my VIPs. But he's like, I didn't like you when you started making fun of his dog. So I got to apologize to his dog tomorrow. On Friday. Yeah, but that's coming up. So I'm open to being wrong. Now, I'm not the kind of person that the science side wants me to be, which is why I have no audience now, is because, I've never agreed with one side or the other. That's where they want you to pull you over there. But it's really weird to me that science would be like that, where they're like, oh, you just believe things because, Papa Flurf said it, or, flat earth stuff. But then as soon as I realize the flat earth is wrong, they're like, now believe everything science has ever said. And it's just not me. And they shouldn't want me to be that one, right? They should want me to base my beliefs off of evidence. And then they should also, you shouldn't just lie about changing your belief, right? I shouldn't be like, well, I still kind of doubt the moon, but I should tell everybody that I now think we went to the moon because that's what this side of the story wants me to hear. That's how most people would act, but it's not for me. I mean, you have to actually convince me that we went to the moon. So that's what Dave's job is going to be on Friday morning. So check that out. I'll put that link soon. And that's about it for me.
Looking forward to that.
You got anything for me?
Nope.
Yeah, I know. Somebody says addicted to Globic says, shame on you for hating on Rusty. Yeah, it was not nice. I said that the dog was dead or looked dead. So it wasn't very nice to me. You should feel bad, says I'm the Craig. I did clown the dog a little bit hard, but yeah, that was so funny. It was one of my favorite moments in Punta Arenas where we were having this big argument and I'm like, you guys are just, you use us in all your videos. You love to use our faces. I'm like, we don't need you in our videos. We don't even use your name. We don't even put you in our videos. And then Dave McKeegan's like, didn't you do a video called Dave McKeegan is a shill? I'm like, yeah, that video. But I mean, I'm talking like in general. Yeah, I did.
All the other ones.
That one. I mean, yeah, I'm talking about all the other videos, guy. It's just funny, just so matter of fact. Didn't you do a video you call it? Oh yeah, that one. Okay, yes. But I no longer feel that way. So we can change our minds. People should be okay with that. And they're usually not. Let me just one more check on here and then we'll be heading out. But I do appreciate you being here. I know it's not easy to come on and admit that we were high for 10 years and that we shouldn't have been. So it's good that you're not now. And
I don't know if I'd say that.
well, we were a little bit not correct for 10 years. I don't know. That's what I call myself, at least. But no, it's like you described it perfectly. It is a matter of confirmation bias. It is the way that you get when you start researching with that bias. And I know that people out there that are flat earthers may think they're doing research, because what they're doing is they're trying to find flat earth evidence, right? And if that's what your brain is doing, it's dismissing any globe earth evidence, and it is purposely trying to find evidence that the earth's flat. And when you do that, you'll find it. You really will. And it isn't the evidence that should lead you to the answer. It's just, like I said, there's lots of evidence at a murder scene. Many of those things are going to lead you in incorrect places. It's kind of the same thing. It's just not going to lead you to the right answer, unfortunately. So,
yep.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. And I do know we have a couple more of these this week, so keep an eye on my channel. If you want to support the show, that would be really helpful, especially right now. But you can go to $Jeranism on Cash App, Jeranism. And there's also links in the description. All right, Lealan, thanks so much. Any final words?
Nope.
All right, we're going to listen to the intro on the way out here, guys. Thanks so much. We'll see you soon. I remind you, do your own research. When you do, you'll never again believe that you can't tell the shape of the ground by looking at the lights in the sky. You can, and there it is, the big X. Flat Earth is dead. Está muerto. Peace.
It's time to ring that bell. Got some people with a story to tell. We fell for a theory, yeah, we all fell flat. Like WWF champions, we fighting back. We were flat, but not anymore. We were flat. Somehow we found it. We were flat. Yeah, they used to bind us. We were flat, now we leaving it behind us. Used to say no curve, now we curving that cap. Dodge that echo dreaming, now we back on the map. Low, impossible, yeah, we used to say it. Now we know the truth, we took the evidence and waited. We were flat, yeah, we said it, we owned it. Now we are the ones who are trying to expose it. Come listen in and learn from our mistakes, and how we now realize that the flat earth is fake. We were flat, but not anymore. We were flat, somehow we found the door. We were flat. Yeah, they used to bind
in the north.
us. We were flat, now we leaving it behind us.
You stop listening to
Globe deniers,
the counter arguments.
the South is a
You
lie,
automatically
homie, it's
dismiss
correct.
people
Woke the hell up, now we're setting
telling
the
you
tone. This
about
is the WWF.
why you are
We're not
wrong.
alone.
And you come up with some of the most insane explanations for why they are wrong and that the earth is flat. Some of these things are observations in which our senses say, yeah, that looks flat. Most of us live in the north, okay?